Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with my review of the NUU Mobile G5. So let's get started. So this is the NUU Mobile G5, one of the latest budget smartphones from NUU Mobile. Now for full disclosure, NUU Mobile did send this phone out to me to cover here on the channel, but all opinions expressed in this video are completely my own. In addition to that, I've also covered a variety of other NUU Mobile phones here on the channel in the past, so I definitely recommend that you check those out as well to learn more about this brand. Now before we get into everything that you need to know about this device, let's take a look at everything that comes included in the box. And another thing that I really want to point out here is that this box is really cool. This is definitely one of the more unique boxes that I've seen, especially from a budget smartphone. Basically, we have this sleeve on top, and it's a cutout of the phone, and also it goes over some of the highlighted specifications, but that's certainly very interesting. Then from here, we have the main box. I'll open this up. We get NUU Mobile stickers, a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer, a 10-watt USB wall adapter, 3.5mm headphones that also include a microphone, a NUU Mobile G5 quick start guide, a SIM card removal tool, and then we do get a clear plastic case included as well. I definitely appreciate that. Now this is more of a basic case, but still, this will provide your phone with a decent amount of protection, and it's certainly better than nothing. So I do appreciate that they've provided this in the box. Now in this review, I'm not going to talk about price, because the prices for all of these different budget phones tend to change as time goes on. Just like any other phone, as we get further and further away from the initial launch, prices likely will go down. So definitely take a look at the link in the video description to see the most up-to-date pricing. One other thing I want to mention as well is that this phone does come with a clear plastic film installed over the display, and typically I peel that off, but NUU Mobile did such a good job at placing it on here that I'm just going to leave it on. It will not provide nearly as much protection as a glass screen protector, but it is better than nothing. Now with the NUU Mobile G5, we're getting a very large display at 6.55 inches. The display itself is LCD at 720p. We're getting a PPI of 268, a 20:9 aspect ratio, and a 91% screen to body ratio. So in general, we're getting pretty small bezels, a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel, but that's not a problem. And then up top here, we do have a hole punch for the front-facing camera, which is 16 megapixels. So I do like that NUU Mobile did go with this approach, with this design here, having the front-facing camera situated off to the side. It certainly doesn't take up too much space at all. And stay tuned later on in the video as I'll show you photo and video samples from the phone itself. But in general, I think this is a good looking display. Of course, being 720p, it's not quite as sharp as 1080p. But then again, I think everything looks really nice here. Certainly when looking at the display, it doesn't feel like it's low quality, and things look nice in general. Now with this phone, we're getting 64 gigabytes of internal storage, which is certainly very generous there. And we're getting microSD card expansion. Now there's no wireless charging with this device, but we do have a fingerprint sensor on the back. So let's give that a try right now. So very fast there. In addition to having a fingerprint sensor, this phone does also have face unlock, so there are multiple options to get into the phone. Now on the back of the device, we do have a quad camera setup. So we have a 16 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera, and a 2 megapixel macro camera. So we are getting portrait mode with both the rear and front cameras here on the phone. And I know that portrait mode is a very popular feature as you get those nice blurred out backgrounds. Now here's how things look with the rear camera on the phone. We can tap on this button up here to do portrait mode. So again, you're getting those nice blurred out backgrounds. I'll turn that off for a second. We can also switch over to the ultra wide angle camera. And you can see here that we're able to fit a lot more content into the frame. So I'm a big fan of having an ultra wide camera, that's for sure. There's also quite a few other modes as well. So there's HDR, video mode of course, Super HD, there's Pro mode as well. There's also a dedicated night mode, which is pretty interesting too. And we can even go over to the More tab to get other features as well. And one of those is the macro camera. So again, we do have a dedicated macro camera on this device, and essentially with the macro camera you can get extremely close up and things are going to be in focus, which in certain situations can be useful. Let's now flip around to the front facing camera and you can see there's me right here, and then we can do portrait mode for the front facing camera as well, and again the background is nice and blurred out. Now with the NUU Mobile G5 we're getting 4 gigabytes of RAM, and we're getting the MediaTek Helio A25 processor. Now for a phone in this segment, I feel like that is a good combination. I do appreciate that we are getting 4 gigabytes of RAM, and combining that with the MediaTek Helio A25 will give you a good experience. Navigating around the operating system is very smooth and nicely refined, and we'll do some other tests later on in the video. Now I did run a Geekbench 5 benchmark test here with the phone. I got a single core score of 123 and a multi-core score of 876. So what I recommend doing is installing Geekbench 5 on your current phone and then get the results from that phone and then compare those results to these scores here to see if this phone is even a performance upgrade. With the device, we're getting video recording at 1080p at 30 FPS for the front and rear cameras, and we're getting a very large 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery. So that's quite a bit of battery capacity, which in return will give you very good battery life. But now that we've gone over the major specifications of the NUU Mobile G5, let's talk a bit more about the hardware. Now I already talked quite a bit about the front panel here. Again, I do appreciate that we are getting that hole punch for the front-facing camera, and in general, I think it does have a nice design. Now, the whole body of the phone is made completely out of plastic, but it does feel premium. Now, taking a look at the left side of the phone, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card, and that's it. Then, on the right side of the phone, we have the power button, volume down, and volume up. Then up top, we have nothing. And then on the bottom of the phone, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and we have the speaker. Then on the back of the phone, we have this really good looking, wavy, reflective design here. We have the rectangular camera module, we have the fingerprint sensor, and NUU Mobile logo. Now the back side of the phone does pick up quite a few fingerprints, but any phone that has a reflective back is going to do that as well, but I think it's a good looking phone. The photo and video quality from the NUU Mobile G5 has certainly been a very nice surprise. Going into this, I wasn't sure what to expect, considering that this is kind of a lower end device, but you can definitely take usable photos and videos, whether you're on vacation, maybe you're just at home and you want to take pictures, whatever you're doing where you need to use the camera on the phone, it's certainly going to get the job done. And I do appreciate as well that we are getting all of those extra features like portrait mode, an ultra wide angle camera, and of course that macro camera as well. So if you are someone that does like to take a lot of photos and videos with your device, then I think the NUU Mobile G5 will certainly get the job done for you. But let's now take a look at some video samples. This is a test video using the NUU Mobile G5 in 1080p. This is using the main camera on the back. From what I can tell, that's the only camera on the back that you can record video with. I don't see any autofocus in video mode, but I can tap on the screen to focus in. And then I can tap again to refocus. It's a little bit bright out right now. It is kind of in the middle of the day. And here is a front-facing test video using the NUU Mobile G5 in 1080p. Keep in mind both the video and audio quality. A very popular device for LG. And the reason why I know that is because the content that I've already put out about this phone throughout this year has been very popular. In fact, some of my most... The NUU Mobile G5 is surprisingly a very good device for watching video content. Even though the display is 720p, and you will be limited, at least on YouTube, at watching videos at 720p, things do look nice. Of course, you're able to crop in as well for a more immersive experience, but having this very large display certainly does make this phone very good for content consumption. Maybe one shortcoming is that I feel like the speaker quality could be a bit better, but thankfully we do have that 3.5mm headphone jack. The phone of course also has Bluetooth as well, So you do have multiple options when it comes to listening to audio on here, but at a bare minimum, the speaker does get the job done. When it comes to using the NUU Mobile G5 for day-to-day tasks, such as web browsing, things work very smoothly. You can easily scroll through a web page here, and you're not going to run into any issues. You can also then go to a certain article to check out, so I'll go to this one right now. And web pages load up pretty quickly. Then from here, you can pinch to zoom. So in conclusion, is the NUU Mobile G5 a good choice? Well, I feel like this phone has a lot to offer, especially considering that it is in the budget segment. The first thing is that the display here on the phone is definitely a very nice surprise. Colors are really good, things look nice and crisp and clear, and it feels a lot more premium than I definitely expected it to be prior to getting the phone. I like that we're getting that 20:9 aspect ratio, so it's a bit more narrow but taller. I also really appreciate that we're getting 64 gigs of internal storage. That's quite a bit of internal storage for an entry-level phone. And 4 gigabytes of RAM is also a nice bonus on top of the MediaTek Helio A25. And then when you factor in the very large 5,000 mAh internal battery, and then the quad camera setup, I feel like this phone is definitely a very unique offering, and I can't think of too many other options, especially in this price range, that really provide you with this much for that amount of money. I mean, really the biggest competitors that I could think of to this phone would be the Samsung Galaxy A11 and the Motorola Moto G Fast. Now, one of the benefits with the Moto G Fast is that you are getting a better processor, but then you're getting less RAM and you're getting half the amount of internal storage. And it's a pretty similar situation as well with the Galaxy A11. So I do appreciate the NUU Mobile really has given us a ton of value here with the G5. I think this phone is certainly one that you're gonna wanna consider, and I'm looking forward to how this phone evolves over time and other devices that they put out in the future. But definitely let me know what you think in the comment section below. But this is the NUU Mobile G5.